With the Monday midnight deadline drawing closer, the United Auto Workers met today to decide which of the big three automakers to strike. Bill Plant has the story from Detroit.
After a morning of negotiations and meetings, the Chrysler Corporation was off the hook. President Leonard Woodcock of the UAW selected the strike target with his executive board. The target is the General Motors Corporation. No one now believes that agreement is likely. The biggest stumbling block is the union's demand for a return to unlimited cost of living raises. If there is a strike this year, its rallying cry will be equity. That refers to the 26-cent an hour cost of living increase, which comes due tomorrow. The UAW wants it in addition to any new agreement. The companies instead are including it in their offers. The other major issue is the so-called 30 and out, demand for guaranteed retirement after 30 years at a pension of $500 a month. Robert Meadows, a 43-year-old sheet metal finisher and union representative at Cadillac, now makes about $4 an hour. He's been on the job 23 years, lives with his wife and two teenage boys in a small suburban home. Like many another auto worker, Meadows retains the militancy for which his union has always been famous. He says he doesn't fear a strike in spite of his standard of living.
I don't think that anybody ever really wants to go on strike, but we feel that we have equity coming. We feel that we work hard in the shop building these good cars for General Motors and for the customers, and we feel that we have equity coming, and we feel that if this is the way that we have to do, we have to strike, then we're going to hit the street.
As you say, I guess it's impossible to really prepare for a long one, but...
That's right, but we've weathered the storm before, and I'm sure that we'll be able to this time.
UAW President Leonard Woodcock said last night that the difference between the union and company positions is now about 20 cents. But he stressed again the importance of the cost of living increase.
We're asking for an 8% increase in the first year, which would generate 30.5 cents per hour. We want added to that the cost of living that has become due under the term of the old agreement, namely 26 cents, plus the additional nickel, which is the result of the cost of living movement from April to July of this past year.
And the second and third year?
That depends upon the restoration of cost of living. We would hope that they would take this and that we could bargain realistically. I'm not at all hopeful, but we are prepared to bargain with them realistically against the outside hope that we could have an acceptable settlement before midnight on Monday.
There is no sign that agreement is in sight. A strike at GM would idle almost 350,000 employees. It now seems all but inevitable. Bill Plant, CBS News, Detroit.
The negotiations go on in Detroit with little hope of averting a strike. At more than half a dozen General Motors plants in the United States and Canada, angry auto workers today jumped the gun and began striking early. Some of the early walkouts took place right in Detroit, and Bill Plant reports.
With the strike deadline set for midnight, there were some who would not wait. Wildcat walkouts against General Motors occurred in several cities, this one a Cadillac plant in Detroit. The men on the picket line reflected the militant mood of many in the union.
Cost of living, working conditions, for money, whole thing. How long are you willing to stay out? Hey, until we get it. Until we get it. Maybe they think they got us beat or something. Maybe they figure they got a bluff in or something. Huh? Right. General Motors, I mean, well, we can show them that we mean business.
There are two major issues. A demand for a return to the unlimited cost of living increases which the union enjoyed until it gave them up in 1967, and the right to retire at a $500 a month pension after 30 years service. As UAW spokesman said flatly that a strike could not be avoided, each side last night blamed the other for their failure to settle.
I really believe that the General Motors Corporation a short time ago made a decision to take a strike because they want to wrap up all together their local negotiations, their Canadian situation, and this national settlement. And that is why I really believe they are taking this hard and fast, non-negotiating position, because they really have other fish to fry. So in this atmosphere of non-negotiable items, non-bargaining, we are not going to have a non-strike, we're going to have a real strike.
And to say these are the strangest negotiations I've been in 25 years. UAW always starts a negotiation with fantastic demands. They're usually deliberately vague about some of the important demands. The demands this year were more fantastic and more vague than usual.
At Local 22, members lined up to pay their dues so as to be eligible for strike benefits from the UAW's $120 million strike fund. Some, particularly younger members and those with families, were less than enthusiastic at the prospect of a strike.
Well, from my opinion, it's definitely not the time for a strike. For me, because I would much rather be working myself. They're going to strike right now. And there's some talk that it may be around Christmas time before we can go back to work, and that's no good for me.
Is this going to be a hardship on you and your family if there's a strike?
It's bound to be. I mean, there's 4 of us all together, a wife and 2 children. And it's hard to make ends meet if a person just works one job right now.
With a strike at midnight, which will idle some 350,000 General Motors employees, all but certain now, there are workers in this plant as well as many others who will be coming out shortly into a chilly rain, not knowing how many lean weeks lie ahead. Bill Plant, CBS News, Detroit.